Punishment is defined as the intentional infliction of pain or unpleasant consequences by a legal authority upon an offender. Philosophers like Flew outline 5 essential elements. It must involve pain, be for an offense, target an offender, be carried out by personal agencies, and be imposed by authority. This definition distinguishes punishment from other forms of harm by emphasizing its legal and ethical context. Unlike arbitrary harm, punishment is a structured response to wrongdoing, grounded in societal norms and legal frameworks. Understanding these elements is crucial because punishment, by its nature, involves moral and legal justification. Without these conditions, the act could be considered illegitimate or even criminal. This foundational concept sets the stage for exploring why societies punish and what ethical principles guide these actions. Deterrence is a forward-looking theory rooted in utilitarian principles, aiming to prevent future crimes by making the cost of offending outweigh the benefits. It operates on 2 levels: specific deterrence, which targets the individual offender to prevent reoffending, and general deterrence, which uses one person's punishment as a warning to society. For deterrence to be effective, punishment must be certain, swift, and severe enough to influence behavior. However, research shows that severity alone does not deter crime if individuals believe they will not be caught. This raises ethical questions about proportionality and fairness, as excessively harsh penalties may fail to achieve deterrence while causing undue harm. Deterrence emphasizes social utility, prioritizing crime reduction over moral desert, which contrasts sharply with retributive theories. Retribution is a backward-looking theory that focuses on moral accountability and justice for past actions. It asserts that offenders deserve punishment because they have violated societal norms and gained an unfair advantage. The principle of proportionality is central. The punishment must fit the crime, ensuring moral balance without descending into vengeance. Retribution treats offenders as rational agents responsible for their choices, reinforcing respect for autonomy. Critics argue that retribution can resemble revenge, but proponents claim it upholds justice by restoring equilibrium. Unlike deterrence, retribution does not consider future crime rates. Its sole concern is delivering just deserts. This approach raises ethical debates about fairness, equality, and whether punishment should serve moral or practical ends. Rehabilitation aims to reform offenders so they no longer desire to commit crimes. Rooted in the medical model, it views criminal behavior as a condition that can be treated through education, therapy, and social support. Indeterminate sentencing, where release depends on demonstrated improvement, was once common but criticized for granting excessive discretion to parole boards. Rehabilitation emphasizes human potential and social reintegration, aligning with humanitarian values. However, its decline in the late 20th century reflects skepticism about effectiveness and concerns over leniency. Ethical considerations include balancing individual rights with public safety and ensuring equitable access to rehabilitative resources. Despite challenges, rehabilitation remains vital for reducing recidivism and promoting restorative justice. Incapacitation focuses on physically preventing offenders from committing further crimes, typically through imprisonment or electronic monitoring. Unlike deterrence or rehabilitation, it does not seek to change behavior or restore moral balance. Its goal is immediate public safety. Selective incapacitation targets high-risk individuals for extended confinement, aiming to reduce crime by removing persistent offenders. While practical, this approach raises ethical concerns about predictive judgments and potential injustices, such as incarcerating individuals based on perceived future risk rather than proven actions. Incapacitation underscores the tension between security and liberty, challenging societies to balance preventive measures with respect for human rights. Restorative justice shifts the focus from punishment to repairing harm caused by crime. It emphasizes accountability, healing, and reintegration through processes like victim-offender mediation, restitution, and community service. This approach seeks to involve all stakeholders, victims, offenders, and the community, in addressing the consequences of wrongdoing. By fostering dialogue and empathy, restorative justice promotes reconciliation and reduces recidivism, particularly in juvenile and minor offenses. Ethical advantages include humanizing justice and prioritizing relationships over retribution. However, challenges arise in serious crimes where victims may resist engagement or where power imbalances complicate fairness. Restorative justice represents a transformative vision of justice centered on repair rather than punishment. Emil Durkheim interpreted punishment as a social ritual reinforcing collective values rather than merely controlling crime. Public trials and sentencing serve as symbolic acts that strengthen social solidarity by distinguishing law-abiding citizens from offenders. Punishment communicates societal norms, reaffirming the boundaries of acceptable behavior. This perspective highlights punishment's expressive function, suggesting its primary role is maintaining moral cohesion rather than deterring crime. Ethical implications include questioning whether punitive practices prioritize community reassurance over individual rights, and whether symbolic punishment can justify harsh penalties. Karl Marx viewed punishment as a mechanism of economic control, serving the interests of the ruling class by managing labor supply and reinforcing inequality. The principle of less eligibility ensures prison conditions remain worse than the poorest free laborer's life, discouraging reliance on incarceration over work. Michel Foucault, in contrast, analyzed punishment as a shift from physical brutality to psychological discipline. His concept of the panopticon illustrates modern surveillance systems that induce self-regulation through perceived constant observation. Both perspectives reveal punishment as a tool of social control, raising ethical concerns about power inequality and autonomy in contemporary justice systems. Denunciation frames punishment as a communicative act, expressing societal condemnation of wrongdoing. Sentences serve as moral statements, signaling collective values and validating victims' experiences. This theory emphasizes law's expressive function, prioritizing symbolic meaning over utilitarian calculations. Ethical questions arise about proportionality and whether expressive goals justify severe penalties. While denunciation reinforces norms, it risks instrumentalizing offenders as mere vehicles for societal messaging, challenging principles of fairness and dignity. The late 20th century witnessed a shift toward punitive policies emphasizing retribution and incapacitation. Mandatory minimums and three strikes laws aim to ensure certainty and severity, reducing judicial discretion. While politically popular, these measures fueled mass incarceration, exacerbating racial disparities and overcrowding. Ethical critiques focus on proportionality, equity, and the erosion of rehabilitative ideals. This era illustrates how policy choices reflect societal values, underscoring the need for critical evaluation of punishment's goals and consequences. Modern criminal justice systems integrate multiple theories of punishment, creating a complex and often contradictory framework. Ethical conflicts arise because goals like rehabilitation and retribution cannot be maximized simultaneously. Professionals must understand the intent behind each sanction and evaluate its effectiveness and fairness. Ultimately, punishment is not merely a legal act, but a moral statement about societal values. Every decision to punish reflects choices about justice, human dignity, and the kind of community we aspire to build.